Hello, my name is Will Salisbury.
And my name is Viet Nguyen.
Today we're going to cover some of the basics on cybersecurity. Mainly the focus on why cybersecurity is a growing field and why it's not a bad idea to jump into it. We need cybersecurity today mainly because of the integration of the internet into our homes and offices. It's become everything from the speakers that we listen to all the way to washers and dryers now that have internet coming and beaming into it. What do you think about that, Beat?
Yeah, I agree with you. Like right now, every device in your house, they would have a function to connect to internet in one way or another. So everything will get connect together, and they may connect to internet. So you and I can talk to each other right now through the internet because of internet. So everything we use the internet, transfer, we transfer our information every day through the internet, and information we transfer every day. It's not only regular information. Now they have like personal information, medical record, credit card information. So it's a lot of time information right now on the air. It's like around your head, around your area. So this plays a problem if we have a criminal who smart enough to intercept the traffic, the network to steal the information. And they can take advantage of that to do some bad thing for you, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. A lot of them are jumping on nowadays, attacking and getting bitcoins as some form of ransom, or uh, actually a lot of them are using Bitcoin. A lot of Bitcoin and digital cryptocurrency as their payment system, or they make you go out to Target to get a gift card and read off the
Yeah,
numbers. Well, the next thing we want to talk about, besides how great cybersecurity is as a profession in today's time, is also going over the Cia Triad. It's one of the most basic elements you'll learn as a cybersecurity professional. And the goal of the Cia Triad is to balance out three different aspects that are related to cybersecurity. And those goals are confidentiality, integrity, and accessibility. And it really just depends on which industry you're in, but normally one becomes the main priority. Can you think of a particular company, Veet, that would have one over the other?
yeah, sure. Like I'm really interested in healthcare because the insurance, the price for healthcare in America is so high compared to Vietnam, like where I'm originally from, right? So healthcare is something like I'm really into want to discuss about. So speaking of the CIA triad, we have a confidentiality, integrity, and availability. So in healthcare, uh, it's really hard to pick like which one is more important than the other one. But I want to talk about confidentiality because speaking of healthcare, so they will people normally talk about medical records, and no one want our information about what disease we have, what like medical problem we have to other people. That's something really like important to keep in secret just for ourselves. It's between patient and doctor. That's a third person, right?
That's really good. I think that you'll find that there's a lot of challenges sometimes in picking which one, because these are all critical, really. I mean, if you don't have data integrity, somebody could have the wrong information on their chart. They could get the wrong operation. They could have the wrong blood type, and then they could die
Mm.
from that. So you could have malpractice lawsuits. So I think that what you end up finding is it's a matter of risk. It's a matter of morals and values that the company has that determines which one of these they put on top. Like you were saying, confidentiality. No one wants anyone to know what their private medical history is, and
Right.
not in general. But accessibility. If they can't access those medical records for someone they're about to go under the knife with, if they can't access that information, they can't provide care for any of the people that are at their hospital. Their ability to provide care is almost at a nil. If they can't access those records, if they can't access the pharmacy, they can't access the drug interaction software, there's just a lot of room for damage there too. So it's all really a matter of like they look at all the risks they can imagine in their heads and like which one costs more, which one hurts our company long run, you know?
Yes. So that means if you can on each period of time, especially when the COVID hit, when everyone went online, right? They have a remote appointment, like telehealth, telephone appointment. We don't meet in person anymore. So the availability becomes just more important because if your website gets down, no one can go to your website to make appointment, to message the doctor, to give it. Oh, the doctor cannot get to patient to ask, okay, how are you, or what problems do you have right now? So I agree with you in that way. Like it depends on each period of time they will measure which kind of the triangle is which angle is important to focus. So it's really hard to pick like which one is important. It depends on like what time and when and to whom.
Yep, I'm with you there 100%. So that's the basics of the CIA Triad. It's just knowing when you get into a company what the priorities are, where they put their focus. If you have an incident, what's the thing that they want you to do? They want you to keep it up even though you might lose confidentiality or integrity. Do they want you to take it down if there's even a chance of some of that data becoming leaked? That's all the questions you need to get set up for the foremost of it all. The next thing we're going to talk about is risk. What is risk? You'll talk about risk a lot in cybersecurity because it's a large portion of the job. Risk analysis is the bread and butter. You have to be able to communicate why the things that you're suggesting are valuable to the company. Why are they going to spend the money for this vulnerability scanner, for this antivirus software? What makes it? What do they get out of it? How do you quantify that into money? So that is where we kind of build this threat, asset, vulnerability kind of Venn diagram where we show that risk is the composite of all three of these things. If you don't have any assets, then there's probably no risk to you. If you don't have any threat, then even if you have a vulnerability and an asset, there's nothing to trigger that vulnerability. If you have a vulnerability, if you have an asset and a threat, but no weakness, then there's nothing that threat can target on the asset to make it to produce a risk. So we look over here, and we'll have V go ahead and pop that off for you all.
Yeah, that's mean like three of that combined together and create the environment. So risk can happen without the favorable environment.
Stop. Yes. Say what again? Give me 3 minutes, baby, and I'll come give it to you, okay? Okay. Go.
So based on what we just discussed, Will, I feel like we need like cyber attack or cyber criminal. They need environment. They need a combination between threat, vulnerability, and access. If we lack up one of three, it's really hard for risk to have opportunity to get into this organization or the system. So that is good to know if we try to like wipe out one of that, if we try to patch all the vulnerability we have in the system, we can reduce the risk of the attack. Or if we try to provide all the protection of prevention methods to prevent all threats we may have, or we try to keep the access in a safe place. No one really realize we have that access. Like, don't really show people how rich you are, even you're really rich. That makes you safe, right? If they know you're rich,
yep.
They may go to your house and rob money, like take money away from you, and then may kill you if you try to fight against them.
Yep, I think that the visibility of your assets is definitely a vulnerability. The more, and each of these kinds of has a double bubble, because there's the threats, but threats can be brought into two channels. There's the threats that you're aware of, like
Mm,
criminal elements in your country, or competitors who want your business to fail. But there's also the unknowns. There's insider threats that you might not be aware of. There are threats that you may not even see coming, that may not have a direct correlation or a clear reason for their actions against you. Same with vulnerability. There's vulnerabilities that you're aware of. You know that some of your systems are out of date or whatever else have you. But there might be some other elements like a weak link in your employee training that you might not be aware of, and that's the unknown set of variables in the vulnerability. So you can treat the known threats by trying to limit access that they might target, things that assets that they might find most valuable. You can set up
mm.
honeypots and things like that to kind of trick them into giving away their plan of attack. Uh,
Yeah, I like the
and
idea of the honey pot for sure.
oh
That's
yeah,
the
honey.
the protection method that people use to trick people to different places.
Yeah, honeypots
Like,
are pretty good for like your low-level hackers, but for the big dogs, you really need a honey net, because you need enough infrastructure to really fake them out, so they think, oh yeah, I'm in the real thing. I've hacked their
yeah,
network, ha ha ha, and
for
and you're
sure.
just watching them from your spider web in the corner, like ha ha ha, you haven't hacked anything. You're just a pawn in my game. Yeah.
Actually, like if we take an example of dating, like online dating sites. Speaking of the online dating site, they have a lot of similarity. We can discuss a little bit here with this model of threat access and vulnerability.
What would be
Like
the asset in that situation?
you have a lot of pictures, right?
Okay,
You,
so your
you would send a lot of
reputation.
pictures, maybe like personal pictures. Who knows?
Okay, your reputation is worth something. Like a company puts a lot of money in their reputation, and just
Yeah.
like a company, we have some value that we put in how we're publicly perceived.
Mm. Because of that, so when they have a set, and I mean like it's it's just, I don't know why, but because all people now try to do online dating and they have everything here. They have a vulnerability. First of all, I don't feel like the dating online they focus on cybersecurity because they don't have a two-factor authentication where we use Tinder, right? They don't have anything like that. That means they don't really focus on that part, but they have everything here when we speak about threat, accepting vulnerability. So what do you think?
I think there's some points to be made there. Online dating definitely is a chance for people to trust other people and give them maybe more information than they would just someone off the street. Uh, I think that it's dangerous until you've met someone to give them too much of your private information. I do see why you would say that's kind of odd that they don't do two-factor authentication, but a lot of people don't want to give out that extra level of personal information even to the company that's hosting the dating app or the dating site.
Right. Yeah, maybe because they try to create the fastest way for people when they use the app because people are lazy. Like we just want something really fast, easy to get in, easy to see like, okay, who's around and the beautiful girls or guys, something like that. Right?
I think a
So
lot of
yeah,
apps fall into that bundle, though. I mean, there's a lot of apps out there that are uh, not taking their users, uh, you know, privacy as their
they call
major
it
concern.
user experience, the UX. They focus on the UX. They try to make people feel easy and comfortable to use the app
Oh yeah,
more than like how secure,
they want availability to be their prime thing because they're trying to get that
right?
money, and most of them
Yeah,
are relying on advertisement, and advertisement's all about the number of people you bring in. But people have to feel confident enough. It depends on the site too. Some of them like Plenty of Fish and that probably people aren't too worried about the information they put up there unless it's something, very private. Some of them are just putting like, hey, I like dogs and I'm single, you know. So that person would care more about just the availability of the website, and they're not worried as much about confidentiality or integrity, you know? But it's the company's job to figure out what's most important to their customers and what's most important to them to keep them functional. But I think we covered all we need to today. So go ahead and say goodbye.
Yep. And I'll see you guys for the next video.
Peace.